Blake Lively is currently suing Justin Baldoni for emotional distress. This comes after Justin's lawyer filed on behalf of him and 9 others against the New York Times. There seems to be a lot of confusion with her suing and the whole legal process going on here, but we are going to get into that as well as a couple of other things that have come out in terms of some theories that people have been speculating on, as well as things that sources close to Blake and Ryan Reynolds have had to say about all of this. On New Year's Eve, it was reported that Justin Baldoni was suing the New York Times over their article covering Blake Lively's complaint. The same day, Blake Lively filed a lawsuit making a formal demand for money, suing Justin Baldoni and others for mental pain and anguish, severe emotional distress, and lost wages. This action has been filed in federal court in New York. Along with Justin, she's also suing Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel, along with Wayfair Studios, which produced the movie It Ends With Us. In a statement to TMZ, attorneys for Blake Lively said earlier today, Ms. Lively filed a federal complaint against Wayfair Studios and others in the Southern District of New York. Ms. Lively previously sent her California Civil Rights Department complaint in response to the retaliatory campaign Wayfair launched against her for reporting harassment and workplace concerns. Unfortunately, Ms. Lively's decision to speak out has resulted in further retaliation and attacks. As alleged in Ms. Lively's federal complaint, Wayfair and its associates have violated federal and California state law by retaliating against her for reporting harassment and workplace concerns. Now, the defendants will answer for their conduct in federal court. Ms. Lively has brought this litigation in New York, where much of the relevant activities described in the complaint took place, but we reserve the right to pursue further action in other venues and jurisdictions as appropriate under the law. And it sounds like Justin and his team were not expecting this, as in his complaint that he filed against the New York Times, he was calling out Blake in it, saying that litigation was not her ultimate goal. In his complaint, they talk about the original complaint of Blake's, talking about how she filed a CRD complaint accusing her of having no intention to file a lawsuit and that she just wanted to have this legal-looking document in order to share her side of the story and try to repair her image. His complaint said Lively chose not to file a lawsuit against Baldoni, Wayfair, or any of the plaintiffs, a choice that spared her from the scrutiny of the discovery process, including answering questions under oath and producing her communications. This decision was no accident. First, her administrative complaint is rife with blatant falsehoods and egregious representations that would have subjected her to dismissal if not sanctions. Second, pursuing formal legal action would have derailed her true objective, an orchestrated campaign to rehabilitate her public image. Instead, Lively filed a request for a right to sue letter with the California Civil Rights Department. A procedural formality that does not require pleadings, remains confidential unless leaked, as it was here, and crucially, does not subject the complainant to discovery. While such a letter can precede a lawsuit, it is clear that litigation was never her ultimate goal. Her real intention was to weaponize the appearance of legitimacy conferred by a numbered legal document to launch salacious, headline-grabbing allegations and reshape her public persona at the expense of the plaintiffs. Some people are very confused by the legal process here, from Blake's complaint published in the New York Times to what she has filed in New York, and of course with what Justin was saying in his. Lawyers have now gotten online to try and explain the situation a little better on social media, because there is just so much confusion with Justin saying that, she wasn't trying to sue, she just wanted something that looked official, and now she is suing, and they don't understand what she had previously done in the California Civil Rights Department, and now she's suing in New York.
Why did Blake Lively submit her complaint to the California Civil Rights Department? I'm going to break it down for you as a California lawyer. As you'll see in this part of the complaint obtained by the New York Times, Wayfair was the employer of all the cast members. The California Civil Rights Department protects people from unlawful discrimination in employment, housing, business, and state-funded programs. As you can see in this chart on their website, you first have to submit an intake form. You do not have to use the CRD investigation process. You can instead file your own lawsuit. However, in employment cases only, as shown here, you have to obtain a right to sue notice from the CRD before filing your own lawsuit. The website goes on to state that the submission of the intake form will initiate an intake interview with the CRD representative. They will then evaluate the allegations and determine if a formal complaint can be accepted for investigation. If your complaint is accepted for investigation, then the CRD will prepare a complaint form for your signature, and they will independently investigate and assess the facts and the legal issues in each case. The CRD may attempt to resolve the case through dispute resolution. However, if there is reasonable cause, the CRD will then notify the parties of this determination and notify them that the department intends to file a lawsuit in the court.
Now, I will say, since Justin's complaint against the New York Times was made public, there's been responses from both Blake's lawyers and sources close to her and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. And also, this made some headlines because Ryan and Blake did not attend the Golden Globes last night, even though Ryan's film Deadpool and Wolverine was nominated. It was nominated in the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement category as the film grossed over $1 billion worldwide. But according to sources, their decision not to attend the Golden Globes was made well before the whole legal battle started between Blake and Justin and didn't have anything to do with that. But that isn't the only thing that sources close to them have been addressing lately. Sources are also coming out to acknowledge these allegations that Ryan Reynolds berated Justin Baldoni during a meeting at Blake and Ryan's house during the filming of It Ends With Us. In Justin's complaint against the New York Times, it said, Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, had aggressively berated Baldoni during a meeting at their penthouse in New York, accusing him of fat-shaming Lively. Baldoni, in an effort to avoid further confrontation with Lively and Reynolds and rebuild rapport with his co-star, continued to bend to her will. Reynolds and Lively's inappropriate and humiliating berating of Baldoni delivered perhaps intentionally as other celebrity friends were coming in and out of their penthouse, was prompted by Baldoni's reasonable inquiry into crucial information needed to ensure safety and avoid injury in a scene. Baldoni, while training for a physically demanding scene in which his character Ryle would lift Lily, asked his trainer, who was introduced to him by Lively and oversaw his training for the film, how much Lively weighed. Baldoni, who suffered from back issues and has multiple bulging discs, made the inquiry to ensure he could safely perform the lift without injury. Unfortunately, the trainer relayed this information to Lively, who then informed Reynolds. The confrontation that followed was so aggressive that Baldoni felt compelled to offer repeated apologies despite his question being entirely reasonable and made in good faith. Following this incident, Lively refused to perform the lift scene, even though it had already been rehearsed with a stunt double. In fact, Lively threatened to quit the production altogether despite her contractual obligations. Lively gave Baldoni an ultimatum to either cast someone else or work with her in the way she works. It was her way or the highway. Later, the complaint said Reynolds demanded an apology to Lively for actions that were mischaracterized and demonstrably false. When Baldoni resisted apologizing for what he had not done, Reynolds became further enraged. Everyone, including the producer Lively had asked production to engage, and a representative of Sony that was in attendance left that meeting in shock. The producer offered that in his 40-year career, he had never seen anyone speak to someone like that in a meeting. The Sony representative mentioned that she would often think of that meeting, and her one regret is that she didn't stop Reynolds' berating of Baldoni. In response to this, a source told TMZ, the source says Ryan Reynolds was not screaming and berating Justin Baldoni, although the source concedes he was angry and stern, adding Reynolds spoke in an impassioned way, but it did not rise to the level of screaming or berating. The source also took issue with the way the meeting was characterized in the lawsuit, in particular the mention of the penthouse where other stars were randomly milling around. The meeting was at the home of Ryan Reynolds and Lively, but our source says other celebs were not coming and going. Now, another thing that has been talked about is Blake and Ryan having something to do with Justin getting dropped by his talent agency, WME. Blake and Ryan are signed to WME, and following the New York Times article reporting on Blake's complaint, that was when they announced that they were dropping Justin as a client. People were blaming Blake and Ryan, thinking that they had some sort of influence, but they have denied that to be the case. WME has come out and also said that they had no influence on the decision here. But now there's another theory coming out about this. Stephanie Jones, she is suing Justin Baldoni. I made a video breaking down her complaint against Justin, but her husband, according to Business Insider, is Jason Hodds, a partner at the talent agency WME. And for anybody who doesn't remember, Stephanie Jones is a publicist and founder of Jones Work LLC, which previously represented Justin and his production company Wayfarer Studios. Jennifer Abel was a former VP at Jones Work and the point person for Justin's account. She's being accused of allegedly conspiring to undermine Stephanie, steal her clients, and start her own PR firm. When Stephanie was made aware of the situation, she fired Jennifer. Jennifer still works for Justin, and some are speculating about what might have went down after, especially with Stephanie's husband being a partner at WME. They are like, that's very interesting. You know, WME is denying that Blake and Ryan had anything to do with them dropping Justin, but what about Stephanie, okay? And in Justin's complaint against the New York Times, it felt to people that he was insinuating that Stephanie so willingly forked over Jennifer Abel's work phone when subpoenaed, possibly for revenge. So, you know, with them trying to insinuate that she was looking for some revenge, I don't know, you guys. This whole thing is just crazy, the way that there's so many crazy connections and how messy this thing really is. It is wild. And I certainly want to know what you guys think about this whole situation. There's just a lot of conversations happening. And in terms of Ryan Reynolds, there's a ton of fans out there that are like, oh my gosh, like I do not want to see Ryan Reynolds in this situation dragged in here. And there's a lot of people that are like, I like him and this situation's not making me like him. And it's honestly getting messier and messier every single day. And like I said in the last video that I covered this, Justin Baldoni's lawyer is still kind of hinting at the fact that they are going to be suing Blake at some point. Right now, they have only sued the New York Times, but I guess we will just have to see what ends up happening. But as of right now, that is how sources close to everyone have been responding. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.